GSL.
Okay, guys, we have a very unexpected winners match here. It's actually Solar against Paralyze.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be incredibly Solar favored.
I think so. I think Solar is actually the first to shoot out of this group.
Yeah, which is pretty surprising, but he came in here confident today, showed his excellent play against Rain, and I mean, I said it earlier, and I don't mean to be a downer on Life, but it was like Life lost the series, not Paralyze won it.
Life was a mess, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you thought game number 1 was bad with Life, game number 2 was a disaster. I mean, he wasn't even able to handle the DTs. I mean, that can happen, right? Like, the attack started, you have Broodlords in your army, so you can't exactly just run back, because there's a possibility the Stalkers blink under the Broodlords.
You have to make sure you got, like, Overseers at home and your Roaches are rallying out in time, but then you got to pull your drones, but you didn't do that. Like, yeah. If you have some SAG defense that lives, then like you can just get an Overseer of that.
Normally when you see a Phoenix opening, you're supposed to have enough spores there to spot for that. But there were points in time where it seemed like there was not. Well, it didn't even seem like there was just literally nothing there to defend.
He lost his SAG defenses to the Zealot Harass a lot of the time.
Yeah,
and it was almost like intentional by Paralyze. But let's see what he does here against Solar.
Yeah. All right, we got a ZVP Solar, one of the best Zergs against Protoss in the world, against Paralyze, the underdog of this group, and so far performing brilliantly. Here in our third best of 3 in the GSL Code S. In the upper right, we have our Zerg defeating Rain. He is
Samsung Galaxy Khan Solar, 강민수.
Seems to be a bit of a fan favorite now after that win.
Yeah, a lot of people in the audience cheering for him. And in the upper left, we have our Protoss player.
SK Telecom T1 Paralyze, 정경두.
Who did manage to beat Life. No small feat.
No small feat, but I don't know. I heard, for some reason, when I heard no small feat, I just started thinking like there's no one in this room with
really
small
big
feet or something. I'm like, everyone in this room has really big feet.
Belarus. Thank you for coming down.
That's a long way to travel.
It is.
Cool handwriting. I like it.
Cool handwriting. Nice font choice there.
Yeah, I like the GSL font there.
Normally when I write on paper, I'm using Arial font, so that was really cool.
As long as you don't use Comic Sans, like we're all fine. But I think
the font that you're never supposed to use, it just looks so awful, is the Halloween font.
Impact or no, not.
I think it's literally called Halloween.
Maybe it's just
like
called Halloween.
yeah.
There's one that's called like there's a word that's like for being scared or something. It's called like horrified or something. That's one of those.
Oh, maybe that's the font I'm talking about. I thought it was called Halloween.
It may be.
That's the one that you always have at your school. They use it for Halloween, and it's always on orange construction paper. And
yeah, it's bad. Okay, so he scouts that Solar's gone for a fast expand to the gold.
And no, Paralyze not going for any kind of quick expand here to the gold.
Yeah, he doesn't have a forge, so he can't punish this by cannoning.
Okay, so
I'm not going to translate this one because I bet there's going to be a translation wait.
I think you're right. So we have 3 bases here for the Zerg, 2 base right now for the Protoss. The gold base will kick in pretty quickly.
Oh, look at that.
This is a tough one for Paralyze when you consider the Zerg that he's against.
Yeah. Well, he's with no drone scout, a bit concerned about whether there's a forge there or not. But those drones are also going to serve a second purpose, which is to then go to the gold base. And I mean, obviously the actually, I guess just looking at it, I mean, this pool's already done, so I guess he wouldn't have been scared about cans anyways. But let's take a look at these two's histories. Paralyze actually won 2-0 in the Sao Paulo qualifiers. That was a long time ago, but still, that's their history here. And that's like an online tournament, so a very different situation. Not a group stage either.
Yeah, also not a Code S.
Yeah, I mean when you're preparing for like
this is the big tournament
in the world,
yeah,
with like 3 other people you have to prepare for, that's pretty tough. Not just like some online bracket.
Okay, well, the second base for Protoss is up and running. He doesn't have his wall on yet. He'll probably make 2 more gateways over there in just a little bit, or maybe a forge and a gateway. But he needs to get something up pretty quickly. Zerg just droning up as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, and even though he's down on workers for a moment here, he's going to catch up soon. And notice the income you can see at the top right, part of our UI here. He's actually ahead about 300 mils per minute at times because of those gold patches.
So, you know, Paralyze has to do something pretty quickly up here. We have seen some games where Zerg are ahead for a while, and then they mine out the gold base, and then the Protoss come in to take the gold and end up winning later on.
Yeah, that's quite common because the gold base mines out fast. So you have to make use of those minerals ASAP. It's almost like mules, you know, like you get the minerals faster, but then you also deplete your resources faster. So you have to think about how much money you have, because you still have the same amount of money, but it's mined at a much faster rate, and you spend it much faster. And then suddenly you realize, oh, this isn't lasting as long as a normal blue mineral base would last. So it looks like we may have a little bit of pressure here off of a few gates. He hasn't added a Stargate yet. Could use these gates to take the third base at the same time, though. Yeah,
he certainly could. So far, a pretty generic build from our Protoss player. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, there's nothing that really stands out so far with this opener.
Yeah, a little bit of a late forge. And look at this. It's actually going to take the third base down here. And set up that wall, so he'll have the 3 gateways to pressure as he does this. Ling scouts.
Now, again, he's not taking the gold here. This is a very conservative move from Paralyze. This is about as conservatively as you can play this map as Protoss.
True.
This is like so conservative. If you'd covered up the names and I hadn't cast the first 2 games and I knew who was in the group, I would assume this is Rain playing.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
All right, so he's just getting those other 2 gates to become warp gates.
Yeah, 3 more gates to wall here. We got the third base.
So he's going to have a solid amount of Tier 1 units coming up here. Only just now with Solar having 59 drones is he beginning to make any attacking units.
Oh, look at this 4th gate even going up here. So he's really going to hit this hard with a sentry push coming across because the rush distance is so short. And don't forget, he can always recall home.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still waiting for that next warp-in round to come in here. 16 Lings are now out, and many more being made.
Solar comes in here, sees the gas timings, and wants to see if, like, are you adding any Stargates, or you have your Robo up yet, or what's going on? He cancels a Spine as this attack is pushed back. But he's made so many Lings that his worker count is actually quite low. Only at 59 right now. These Lings actually might get trapped by force fields. Not quick enough there.
Solar backing up now.
11 Hydras on the way, +1 for Hydras or Hydra range to line up with it. And that extra mineral boost from the gold base is really allowing him to produce those quite quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty hard for Protoss to actually contest this out on the map, but it looks like now's the time he's going to try to do just that.
Yeah, I don't know about this, because there's a lot of Lings to support the Hydras here, and so many more Lings on the way. He has a finite number of force fields, and he's going to be fighting on creep should he decide to move forward here.
All right, and he moved forward, he is.
He's got to force field the Lings and the Hydras, so that's going to take a lot of energy.
Got to really hand it to Solar there for not being too greedy trying to get that pylon.
Yeah. And I mean, he's just trying to threaten the backstab, maybe force a warp in at home. And he can always come for the flank. So the force fields have to be placed on both sides. Time warp here is going to be critical too if he really wants to commit to this. Nice catch on that queen. Where's that flank I was talking about? He's going to get the first pylon this time. This is a lot of Protoss units here. That's a decent time warp, actually. Slowing down those Hydras.
Actually, really smart time warp there. Now the attacks are going to come in here from both sides. He's going to try to get that pylon. There's already an additional pylon down here at the bottom. I think there's just too much. This is the problem when Zerg gets the gold base. You don't do anything about it.
Yeah, he just has too much income. He's fighting on creep.
Nobody cares about force fields for Zerg in this case because you just have so much.
I'm actually shocked he thought this was going to work.
Well, I actually thought I was going to learn something here from Paralyze when he's doing this strat. I'm like, huh, okay, well, he must, really have this built down pat since he's completely neglected the gold base for this entire time and clearly saw the Zerg from the very beginning taking it. But no, I mean,
he didn't go into Colossi, which seems to be like the normal way to.
Well, yeah, because they're getting slightly more minerals, which means more Hydras, Roaches, and Lings, right?
GG,
that's it.
He doesn't even want to try.
Wow, abysmal game there from Paralyze. Solar just wins that.
Solar is going to 4-0 this group, man.
I think you're right.
I will actually be shocked if he loses even one set now.
Well, I got to say, that game from Paralyze is really disappointing, especially considering Paralyze just beat Life on this map.
Yeah.
That it was one of those moments he's moving out, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what exactly he's going to do. And then, of course, no, he gets completely swamped by Zerg units.
Yeah,
even with good force fields and time warps.
There's enough Lings to support the Hydras, and there's not enough Stalkers. There's mostly sentries.
Here's what it was, too. Normally when you have Lings that are coming around the back trying to hit that pylon, those Lings, even if they're getting shaved off bit by bit, are going to make that attack from the Protoss that much stronger. But in this case, no. He has so much money, he can actually use those Lings, hit the pylons, and still have enough on the right side of the map to just overwhelm the Protoss despite force fields.
He has more Hydras than you're supposed to on 3 bases because he has the gold base too.
Yeah, and that's a lot of damage that's shot over those force fields.
Well, Ultra Zeme again here picked now by Paralyze as his Protoss map. And let's see how Solar plays it. He won on this map last time against Rain. Seems to be pretty comfortable here. I think Rain is a much more accomplished Protoss player than Paralyze, so I'm still highly favoring Solar right now. Yeah,
I got to agree with you, Wolf. Solar, I mean, Rain had some great games against Solar, but Solar just, when he gets into the end game, he's too good. In this case, even against Paralyze right in the mid game, there was nothing Paralyze could have done. But again, no gold base on this map, so keep that in mind. Now on to map number 2, Ultra Zeme. Here in the winner's match of today's GSL Code S with Solar and Paralyze.